Kia ora koutou katoa. Warmest greetings, one and all. And firstly, I'd like to just acknowledge the tremendous creative leadership in the room. I feel it at my table 9, and I've certainly seen it in action this evening, notwithstanding the tremendous entertainment we've had from the Phoenix group. So I just want to pay tribute to everybody who has contributed to the evening so far. I also want to say warmest greetings in the first week of Matariki, which is a great time to reflect on one's place in the world, to let go of things that are no longer useful, and of course to build new beginnings. So I think this wonderful dinner is very well timed. Ko Matariki te whitu e arataki e. Matariki are the stars that bind us together. A couple of nights ago, I thought I'd see what would happen if I pulled apart the words creative leadership, because of course that's the theme of the evening, to see if I could find a new angle on which to base my talk tonight. When you start to look, there are a number of related words embedded in the phrase creative leadership, and I decided to focus on 2 of them: create and, not surprisingly, leaders. In my musings, I really liked the call to action when create, leaders, are banged together. But focusing on that tonight seems somewhat obvious and possibly even off topic. So I thought, let's look at the other way. Leaders create. I had a brainwave in the shower, dare I say on Sunday night, that I could maybe generate some new insights about what creative leadership is if I took the first letter of each word and put them together to stimulate a new idea. And in the first instance, the first letter L from leaders, and similarly the letter C from create, made me think of the words instantly: love, challenge. That seemed to be right in the zone, so I carried on and came up with 7 ideas that I want to breeze through with you this evening. Love challenge is obviously the first one. Edge rules is the second one. Alter expectations follows. Do act. Eat time. Release energy. And to take care of the remaining letter S, because we're talking leaders create, and some of you will have realised already that the word leaders and the word create don't have the same number of letters, I thought of the crucial and important word share. Now, if some of you are wondering, what the heck is this about? On your table are some bookmarks that I've asked to be placed around, and you'll see how I pulled apart those 2 words, leader, create. So, here's a whiz through some of those ideas based on my own experience, which I can now reveal is almost 40 years on in the arts and creative sector. The first one, as I said, is love challenge. And you know what? I could not have followed my calling or vocation working in the arts if I did not love challenge. Most of my projects have really tested my mettle because I seem to have a strong bent on being a pioneer. And that involves, in every case, breaking new ground to make something from usually nothing, meaning only very limited material resources are available in the first instance to make things happen. And perhaps for me, all of that started when I first came to New Zealand. I was a young person, 18 years old. I had lived in Canada to do my high school years. I wasn't very happy at home. And I had my first, you might say, significant creative moment at the age of 12 when I thought, you know what, I'm not really happy here. I'm going back to my birthplace. And so when I was 18, that is exactly what I did. I came to Auckland. I didn't know a single soul. I had to get a job immediately, which was in fact at Becker Carter, Hollings and Furner. And from there, my journey began. And of course, I've learned a lot of things along the way, helped all the way through by that essential gift that is here in the room, the mentors and supporters and resource people who really help people to reach into their creative spirit and make things happen. The next little 2 words that I came up with was edge rules, and you might wonder what that's about. One of the things I've learned about myself as a leader who creates is that I get a lot of inspiration and energy from being on the edge, which, by the way, is quite different from being on edge, though perhaps tonight I am a little on edge. The edge is also at times quite a lonely place because it really is outside the mainstream. However, a key rule when on the edge is to, I've found anyway, liberate curiosity in order to make interesting and stimulating new connections with ideas, people, innovation, and materials. Of course, coming to New Zealand as I did as a young 18-year-old, by the time I was 19, my curiosity about the country that I found myself in again, having not lived here for many years at that point, was stimulated by the fact that I met a farmer on the Coromandel Peninsula who had a farm for sale, a 1,000-acre farm, as a matter of fact, and I worked out with him a way that I could buy that farm with $100. Now, living on the edge was the only way that I could actually do that. And I'll leave it for you to ask me later how that happened. What I've found is that being on a leading edge as opposed to being on a knife edge is really important, though of course both stimulate the creative tension that is vital to making a work of art. Altering expectations. For me, that's about staying open to possibility and opportunity. And this past week has been a very sad one for me, I have to say, because one of my very first mentors in the arts, Michael Volkeling, who may be known to some of you, died very unexpectedly. He was the very first director of the QE2 Arts Council. He was appointed by Hamish Keith at the age of 27, which was extraordinary thing to have done at that point in his life. He remained the director of the QE2 Arts Council for 11 years, and I met him not too long after he began. Some would say that the arts in New Zealand have never, ever really recovered from him leaving the Arts Council at the age of 38. Nonetheless, he has been a very, very significant person in the development of cultural policy in New Zealand and the bringing together of unique ways of thinking into what it means to have a contemporary culture here that comes from the coming together of Pākehā culture, but most significantly Māori culture and Polynesian culture. So Michael Volkeling, when I first met him, he had this idea that I should go up to Whangarei and be married, in kind of conventional terms, to a whole group of people there who were developing an arts centre called Forum North. Some of you will know it. I had this really passionate interest at that time in understanding quite deeply, well, who are the arts for? Because I'd come from a background where through distress, shall we say, family distress, I had not had engagement with things that other people would take for granted. So coming into the arts was very interesting from the edge, and I had some expectation about what my interest in the arts might be over time, but I didn't expect Michael Volkeling and my other mentor, Jim Booth, to say to me, well, Elisabeth, you're the one that we're anointing to go up north to find out how the arts actually contribute beyond the circumstances that most people associate the arts with. So my expectation about what my career might be was significantly altered. And I went up to Whangarei and really explored some very, very interesting things, but there are a whole lot of other stories that I can't tell tonight. But that does lead in quite nicely to the next one, which is do act. And leaders create because they know how to make decisions when it truly matters. And that has been put to the test in my career, I must say, many, many times. In my work, I really foster the distributed leadership model in the teams and organisations that I work with. So that's a bit of technical language for those who are interested in leadership theory. I belong to that group of people who champion distributed leadership. And as a creative facilitator, there are many processes and tools that I've used to encourage strong collective leadership cultures. However, as a leader who creates, I have never shied away from the fact that my team and the people that I work closely with have relied on me to be a strong backstop. I can't explain why I've always found myself in that position, but I recognised many, many years ago that that's what people wanted me to contribute to the distributed leadership model. They wanted me to help by being a backstop. In other words, when I need to take action to hold true to vision, values, or kaupapa on behalf of a team or an organisation or a project or a collective, I do act. And even though I will be trembling in my shoes, I will find the courage to be tough if that is required. I think that's very important when you think about leaders creating. The next one is eat time. I was quite surprised when that idea popped into my head because in reality, time actually eats me. But, you know, a long time ago, I realised that if I was going to have any chance at managing my stress levels, I would need to be smart about my relationship to time, not just in the interests of work-life balance, but for another really important reason too. And this is a lesson, if you like, that I learned in Whangarei when I realised that things were getting busy up there. I really believe personally, and I've learned this from being in community, about the value of face-to-face communication, and I do practice it daily, what I call being in the here and now. Yet as my work schedule became ever more demanding, and I think you'll all find yourself in this situation too, I have found myself tensing when people want to talk to me. Because I'm in the flow of something, they want to talk to me, I'm thinking, don't, but I'm trying to be nice. And so it goes. And suddenly the moment of the joy in what I'm doing is gone. So I decided, really quite some time ago, that I would try something counterintuitive, and that is to give people, as a daily mindfulness practice, my full attention when I interact with them. I started to do that many years ago, and you know what? It has really worked. And it hasn't bothered me whether it's a small thing or a big thing. But what I've found is that if I can get to the nub of what it is with that person straight away and engage with them, that has really helped. And it's brought enjoyment to me. I've obviously been able to work with people and engage with people and learn things, which is the most important thing to me. And I've also had the privilege of being in relationship, which is really, in the end, the point of being in a leadership position. Just a couple of other things. The second or to last little piece to share is about releasing energy, and leaders creating do that. Just like water, this is for me about finding the path of least resistance as often as possible while not holding, while still holding true to my values and integrity. As a leader who creates, releasing the energy of possibility so that others can see the seed that I see in the void of nothingness which is often the starting point for working in the arts. You've got a project idea, but you've got very little tangible to work on. When I'm working with people who can begin to see into that void of nothingness, then it gets really exciting, because even if a small number of people only agree to put their collective imagination and group energy to work, we can then grow and build a powerful something together that, through our collective effort and commitment, really stands a strong chance of making a difference. And I suppose, just reflecting on that, I'm driven, to be honest, to make a difference without it kind of becoming a rod to my back. I don't want that, but I do want to make a difference, and I've got very strong personal values around that, and I've also got very strong personal reasons for that. So I've realised, of course, as we all do, that that can never be done working alone, and the arts are the perfect arena in which to learn that vital life lesson, which is that nothing but nothing happens alone in the arts and creative sector. It's a kind of paradox and irony that the arts are often seen in the public mind through the very talented individuals who are the leaders in the arts. But if you peel back how work gets made by people working together in the most creatively productive environments that you could ever imagine. So in my experience as a leader who creates, the key to releasing energy is growing a team's generosity of spirit, harnessing its innate creativity to develop innovation, and finding positive ways of maintaining a group's heart in the face of internal and external challenges, which of course are always present. And some of you may remember that in the word leaders, and you'll see this in your bookmark, there is that rogue S, which doesn't fit against the word create. And so that word for me tonight is share. And in the transmedia world of 2014, we really are what we share. It is as simple as that. So I once again just want to acknowledge the sharing that's been done tonight to create this wonderful event. Perhaps it's a little bold of me, but I wonder if on behalf of everybody here, as guests of the people who have helped put this together, we might thank them for the sharing that they've made with us. And I would just encourage you all to mine that creative leader inside you and continue to create. Thank you.